Hi everyone, it's time for another episode of Atoms for the Love of Movie Picks. This time around, we're going to be talking about the 2003 movie 44 Minutes. The movie is named after basically the 44 minutes in which the shootout took place. Uh, it's based off of the 1997 North Hollywood shootout. The movie it stars Michael Madsen as Frank McGregor, Detective Frank McGregor. It's also got Andrew uh, Bernish as Larry Phillips Jr., one of the bad guys, and Oleg Taktarov as Emil Mazzarino. The only other one that you might recognize in this one is Mario Van Peebles plays Henry Jones, one of the LAPD cops. Like I said, the movie is about the North Hollywood shootout that took place on February 28th, 1997. Basically, it was a confrontation between two heavily armed bank robbers, armed and armored bank robbers, Larry Phillips Jr. and Emil Mazzarino. And then, of course, between them and members of the LAPD, Los Angeles Police Department, in the North Hollywood district of Los Angeles, California. Um, both robbers in the end were killed. 12 police officers and 8 civilians were injured in this shootout, as well as numerous vehicles and other property were damaged or destroyed. By the end of this, nearly 2,000 rounds of ammunition were fired by the robbers and the police. So the way it worked at 9:17 a.m., Phillips and Mazzarino entered and robbed the Bank of America in North Hollywood. The two robbers were almost immediately confronted by LAPD officers when they exited the bank, and the shooter, of course, followed swiftly thereafter. They attempted to flee the scene. Phillips on foot and Mazzarino in their getaway vehicle, while continuing to exchange fire with the officers. The shootout continued on to a adjacent residential street. Phillips ended up being mortally wounded by the cops and ultimately succumbed to a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Mazzarino was incapacitated by the officers 3 blocks away, and he bled out on scene while awaiting arrival for paramedics. Both Phillips and Mazzarino have been believed to have robbed at least two other banks using similar methods of for entry. Getting past bulletproof security doors, taking control of the entire bank, and firing weapons illegally modified to enable fully automatic fire. Um, they were also suspects in two armored car robberies. Funny enough, that they were actually planning on, as far as I understand it, they were planning on robbing an armored car the day that the North Hollywood shootout occurred. For whatever reason, the armored car they were planning on robbing did not show up. They subsequently chose to rob the bank instead. So the standard issue sidearms carried by most local patrol officers at the time were 9mm Beretta pistols or 38 special revolvers. Some patrol cars were also equipped with 12 gauge shotguns. In comparison, Phillips and Mazzarino carried Norinco Type 56 rifles, basically a Chinese AK 47 variant, Bushmaster XM15 dissipator with a 100 drum round magazine, and Heckler and Koch HK91 rifle, all of which had been illegally modified to select select fire capable. Phillips also had a Beretta 92 FS pistol. The robbers wore homemade body armor, which successfully protected them from handgun rounds and shotgun pellets fired by the responding officers. Law enforcement SWAT team eventually arrived with sufficient firepower to counter the gunmen, and they commandeered an armored car to evacuate the wounded. Uh, Several officers were also equipped with AR-15s and other semi-automatic rifles from a nearby firearms dealer. And the incident sparked debate on the need for patrol officers to upgrade their firepower in preparation for similar incidents in the future. Due to the large number of injuries, rounds fired, weapons used, and overall length of the shootout is regarded as one of the most intense gun battles in U.S. police history. Combined, the two men had fired approximately 1,100 rounds in total, while approximately 650 rounds were fired by police. Another estimate is that a total of nearly 2,000 rounds were fired collectively, which is just nuts, when it's outside of a war zone kind of thing. Uh, so, yeah. Uh, for a lower budget movie, not as well known movie, it's still really well done and very realistic in its attention to the details about the shootout and the actor's portrayal of it. For example, the car that the robbers use in the movie is basically the exact same kind of car, not the exact car, but the exact same kind of car that was actually used in the real shootout, a white 1987 Chevy Celebrity. The movie gives you a real sense of just how crazy the shootout really was. Uh, Basically, like you can watch, you've probably seen old news footage of the shootout, and you can get an idea of it. When you have this up close kind of personal recreation of it, it really gives you a sense of just how crazy this shootout was and just how intense it really was. The movie also gives you a look into the lives of the police officers that were involved in the shootout. Uh, Also, at this time during the late 1990s, public's opinion and trust of the LAPD was not really good, and this shootout gave them a chance to redeem themselves in the public's eye. As much as the shootout was a bad thing and it was a terrible thing to happen, it was kind of like I said, it was good for the LAPD because it gave them a chance to be more welcome in the public's eye again. One last little fun tidbit for you: they loosely based the opening scene of the 2003 movie SWAT off of this shootout. So yeah, just an interesting little tidbit. So yeah, overall, very good watch. For the kind of movie that it is. I mean, it's not the greatest movie out there, but it's certainly a good watch. I highly recommend checking it out if you haven't seen it before. 44 minutes. I believe it's available in any place you can get videos from, and not sure if it's available on any streaming platform. Due to the realistic gun violence of this movie, I would not recommend it for anyone under the age of 13. But yeah, 44 minutes. Check it out. Not be disappointed. Have a good night, folks, and we'll check in the next one. Take care.